your team in the best position possible.
Did this stretch kind of come at a good time? I know you don't create the schedule, but you lose 3 straight. You don't play hard for a full 40 at Indiana, and then you get a stretch of 2 games in 10 days. Was that kind of the perfect time to reset a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's the best thing to say because it's like you said, you can't control it. Like, it is what it is, and you're still just, getting yourself ready for the next game, whether that's 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, and then, when they do give you, time like this, I think, taking some time off, and, we start in June. People have to keep that in perspective with our sport. We don't start on October 15th. We start in June, and so if you don't have some things figured out at this point, it's pretty hard to get that back. And so we just want to keep growing. Doesn't mean that we're not making mistakes, because everybody does, but you want to keep growing. You want to keep working on things and getting better. And sometimes, like, the time of kind of understanding, like, this is what it's all about. Like, at this time of the year, like, nobody stands still. You go upwards or you go downwards, and that's what we want to do. We want to keep working and getting better, and hopefully some of the losses that we've had, hopefully that can make us, a better group.
To see how Liam's kind of made the best of a situation where he knows he's not in the rotation,
Right.
and a guy who's had high volume shot attempts in the past. How have you seen him grow as a leader and kind of mentoring guys like Jack, some of these younger guys with his experience?
Yeah, he's great, man. He's, had a tough situation, obviously, in the summer because he couldn't compete because of his injury. And I think that's one of the things. And then circumstantially, Jack just played played as one of our bigs because we just wanted to have a productive practice. And then we saw the advantage that it gave us. And so that just kind of organically happened, and that was not a break for him. But he's, we needed him immediately, right? When TK didn't play, and he helped us win that game in Oakland. I always say that no matter who you are, you're going to help us win a game. Hopefully it's more than one game, but like that's the impactful statement when you have a complete team. You have to stay ready, and that's what he's done. He has stayed ready here. It hasn't happened because we haven't had much foul trouble there, and we haven't had much injuries there, but like he's a guy you feel very, very comfortable going into a game and knowing that he's going to be able to stretch the defense and knock down some shots.
Did that shoulder situation early in the year when he was playing, did that set him back at all, or was it just,
I think what set him back more than anything was just not being able to be out there until the start of school, like that piece of it, just to get out there and to compete. And ever since he got back, he's done really well. But it's when you get there, you can't play one more guy there, especially when you got somebody like TK logging the minutes that he does.
Do you believe in a get-right game after a big losing streak, and is that what Maryland was, trying to gain some confidence back?
Yeah, I think after you look at it, obviously it was a great game for us. We shot the basketball well. TK got double-figure rebounds. I thought C.J. Cox did a good job defensively. You can kind of go on and on there, with our group. But, yeah, anytime you can go on the road and win like that in the Big Ten, that's hopefully that's a confidence booster for our team.
You've had several guys over the years, whether it was Rayfeld, Dakota, the guys that you would put on the other team's best defender. CJ still kind of early in his career with that, but what sort of challenge does that then create when the other teams know that that's now, in the same way maybe you would be attacking their best offensive player,
right.
Now that player knows he's attacking. How do you think CJ has, I guess, adjusted to that?
Yeah. For us, it depends. Like, sometimes we will stay with the matchup, and that person will guard him the whole time. And then within offense, sometimes we switch actions to stop your actions. We might not ideally always like that matchup, but we know if we let them run their actions, we're going to get behind it. So we would rather play it straight up with matchups that maybe it's not the best. I think when people watch basketball, sometimes they don't understand that. And they're like, well, you got this guy and this guy. Yeah, you got a cross matchup, especially when a box out comes. Like, it's not what we want, but if you don't play it that way, they're going to get you on their action. Now they don't. Now they got to go make a play, which is harder. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's harder. And so that's really for us as we scout and we watch. We're like, we want CJ to stay on that guy. But if we do that, then we're going to get behind. So if we're not going to get behind, then we don't switch some of that stuff. So that's the differences. If you watch a game, I can't give one answer. It's really two answers. So when we can keep him on somebody, yeah, he's, he does a pretty good job. He's pretty diligent. Actually, probably one of his flaws is his inability to switch off of people because he's so locked into them. Like, you know what I mean? He's into the basketball, he's staying on it, and then somebody yells switch. Well, now he's got to bounce off and take somebody else, and he stays a little bit too long. Like, that's something for him that he's done a better job with, but he'll still have those moments when he does that. But it all stems from him being locked in trying to guard that guy. So if we do the other one, then it's, sometimes people will say, man, CJ Cox locked that guy down, and they're 100% correct because he stayed on him. Then sometimes they'll say, well, hey, he really did a good job and locked him down, and we switched the whole game. And so, like, yeah, he started on him, but like he didn't finish on him all the time because we switched within offensive plays.
What kind of progress you've seen from Raleigh thus far now that he's got some time continuously to be healthy?
Good. He's moves better, jumps better, everything. So it's what you want, because now, like, you see him be able to gain some mobility, gain some strength, probably more importantly than anything, gain confidence. I think anybody that's had the injuries that he's had, I think that's the one thing that takes the longest is just that 100% confidence in the strength and the durability of his legs. So no, he's a good player. He's a functional player. He can pass, he can shoot. He's blocked some shots here in practice. He gets the hell beat out of him at times when you're on that scout team. But him and Antoine have done a really good job, with our other scout team guys and, going out there and running their stuff. But no, I'm excited about it. I'm happy for him because, he can see that light at the end of the tunnel going into next year.
Do you want him trending toward being an interior big who can play on the perimeter, or a perimeter big who can play on the interior?
I could care less, as long as it's quality. Yeah, to me it's not, because you're looking at it with some other guys there, and it just depends. Like, how you shape your team is on your best players, and like that's what, like, hey, how you going to use Jack Benner? Like, well, if we got better bigs, probably as a 3. If we got better guards, probably as a 4, because you want to get your best team out there and your best players out there. So I really don't have a answer to that when you have versatility. What I do want is him to continue his growth, being able to do both that you mentioned. I think that's an important piece more than anything, because you want to be able to have strengths on the interior, and on the perimeter, offensively and defensively.
How much does his energy and enthusiasm matter?
It
Seems
matters.
like a charismatic kid.
Yeah, it matters. Like, he's that way right now, and he doesn't get in games, and that's a really good point, because he has a good way about him. He's enthusiastic. He cheers people on. He's selfless. He gets it. He's got a lot of winning qualities.
The way the Maryland game turned out, guys got extended minutes in the second half. How valuable is that as you get into these games where you never know who you're going to have to count on, and
Right.
now you've got a lot of guys who have played, major Big Ten minutes?
Yeah, it's no different. Like, we use Chikari as an example. Like, he shot well and played well at Rutgers. I think that earlier in the year that really helped him. He had another good game there. He gets, some extended minutes, and that's who, kind of, you get shortchanged a little bit when you come off the bench. There's no way around it, right? There's just, Daniel will get that sometimes where it's like, man, you want more minutes. Like, I'll leave a game and say, man, Daniel should have played more minutes. Omer should have played more minutes. Like, that's having a good team and having a good bench with that. But yeah, those experiences are important, because you never know. Like we talked earlier about, foul trouble, injuries, things of that nature. Like now, I really believe that, like, if one of those guys had to step up and come in and play major minutes, that they would be ready.
Just can I get one more? Just
yeah.
Up through the Indiana game, we're still having discussions with guys about the lack of communication on defense, or insufficient communication
Yeah.
on defense. Does that factor into any decisions you're making right now as far as who's on the court when? Is it still too wide of a problem for any?
Yeah, I
to be
wouldn't
fixing
say
that?
it makes that big of a difference in terms of who you play. It makes a difference on the court. I think you have to fight guys, especially quiet guys. Like they think, well, I'm just a quiet person. Well, you can't be a quiet competitor. You know, you got to be able to talk. You got to be able to respond to commands. Kind of what I was talking about earlier. That me being able to talk to you is really important. You being able to respond to what I say is more important. All right, because you're the action. I see it, I say it, you do it. And sometimes in that chain of communication, somebody says, I didn't hear you, I didn't understand you. Like when you watch film and you pause it and something happened. You know, something happened right there. Like, did he say something? You'll try to be able to see if that guy's saying it, because a lot of what you do, like in ball screen D, is early, loud, and continuous. So you don't want to say a sentence. You want to say one word continuously and loud. So if it's left, you don't say, hey, you got to get left. No, it's left, 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 because there's 14,000 screaming fans. There's people out there. There's like, you got to be clear in what you do. Now, sometimes it's too loud and you can't hear it. So now you just really got to square the basketball and be able to stick in it. But if you watch old people play basketball, they're the best at it because they don't want to move. So go watch a bunch of has-beens play at noon, you know, and just go watch them. They're great. Yeah, our SID, Chris Foreman, is a has-been. And, but they're great communicators because physically, you know, you're just at that point where your body hurts and you're out there and you want to point and, you know, and talk, and so you don't have to move. Well, you got to move in major college basketball. But if you can communicate like that and dominate it with your voice, you really help people, because a lot of what happens with your voice is what you see and what I see is going to be different because we're on different places of the court. It's why a catcher calls things in baseball, because he sees everybody. Everybody else would have to turn around and look at somebody. He can just look and see 8 people. And so that's why he gives he gives that command and gives that signal. Well, when you're on the back line and you're help, you should be the most vocal. Anytime you're in ball screen, you should be there. But when you're seeing people, you need to communicate, because what you do is you play so much and you have such quick responses to things. You should be painting a picture with your voice. I've played enough to where I should have a feel for the court and the understanding for the court. We scouted this opponent. You should know what's coming here, but I still don't know because a lot of it's behind me and I don't see it, and your voice sees it. Now you go and say all those things, and then now that really paints the picture that I need. But it's ongoing. It never gets to where, like, hey man, you guys are perfect in your communication. But like it wins and loses games. It's very important.
But you've had teams that were good enough at it, right?
Correct. The stronger personalities are going to talk more, and that's what your fight is. You know, sometimes guys that are a little bit more passive, laid back, quiet as individuals, those are the ones you got to fight and stay on. And sometimes you look at it like, you know, it's all right, he competes, he's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. You got to stay on those guys and make sure that they keep talking and they keep, you know, understanding. But then once something happens, you got to try to go get it figured out right there. And like, hey, you can't hear him? Like say it. Like sometimes guys won't say it, like, no, I didn't hear a word he said. I didn't, like, whatever. Then they'll be like, no, he said it. I just responded late. And so you got to get to the issue. You know, you can't just go a whole game, right? You got to get to it right away. And, you know, you see it in those guys that react late. And then you see it when people don't react. When people don't react, something probably didn't get said at all. So, all right, thanks.